Today's guest is a best-selling author, Tony Robbins Award winner, and the founder of The Morning Fire. Over the past 4 years, he has impacted more than 1,000 lives. And today he's going to share with you new insights, ideas, and information to help you shift your identity so you can accelerate your impact. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please help me welcome our good friend, Jeff Wickersham. Welcome.
Daniel, thanks for having me.
Right, well, I know your pedigree. I know it's early morning there, but you said you've been up since 3 or 3:30.
I have been, yep. I always get up, get my routine in, and get ready to go. So thanks for having me.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Now, first of all, before you got into the field of what you're doing now, what was the goal that you had set for yourself? What was the goal that you were working towards, and how did you end up here being a coach and doing what you do?
So it's amazing looking back, right? Because you always try to connect the dots forward. I love Steve Jobs' Stanford commencement speech, and we try and connect the dots forward. We never can, right? So if you would have told me 10 years ago I'd be here right now, I would have said you're crazy, right? I never saw that in the future. Unfortunately, I had a life event 7.5 years ago where I lost my mom to breast cancer. So that really shook me to my core, cut me at my knees, and I shifted my entire life because I saw how fragile life was. And I think that was such a pivotal moment in my life, that moment of pain and moving because of pain. And now I just love waking up. So grateful for this opportunity to speak to you and your audience, and grateful to be standing upright, right? So many times we don't really have that intention on a daily basis, that today is a gift that we get to spend and share and hug our loved ones. And if you wake up and you start your day, even though it's 4 a.m. where I'm at, imagine how powerful your day's going to be. Imagine how happy your day will be when you're intentional. You control those bookends and you step into that true identity that you want to operate with.
100%, 100%. And, one of the things I've noticed with a lot of people is that they're actually living their dream. Some of the dreams aren't as pleasant as others, but they're living their dream. And I think for a lot of us, we have to actually stop for a moment, pinch ourselves, and realize that we are in the middle of our dreams. But like your story here, 10 years ago, you set yourself on a new journey. 7.5 years ago, cancer takes your mother's life. And now we've got to reassess where we're going. So a lot of people who are moving forward to their aims, their goals, their dreams, their wishes, what are some of those internal obstacles that really prevent them from becoming the greatest version of themselves?
Number one would be feelings. So many times we rely on our feelings to dictate our actions, and then that defines our identity. And I did that for many of my years in my 20s and 30s. And even early in my 40s. So when our feelings betray us, which let's be honest, 90% of the time they do betray us. We don't feel like hitting the gym. It's raining out. It's dark. We don't feel like going on a run. So we don't take action. And then our identity kind of spirals downward because we're someone that doesn't follow through with what we should be doing or what we want to be doing. So if you flip that formula and start with identity. Now let's take exercise, for example. I'm going to be a world-class athlete. Well, if that's my identity, regardless of how I'm feeling, I take action because I am a world-class athlete. You think a world-class athlete, even though they don't feel it, don't hit, let's say if you're a swimmer, you don't hit the pool at 5 a.m. every single day? Absolutely not. So that compels you to take action because you've defined your identity, and then you get that feeling and it's spiraling upward that you feel great about yourself, because regardless of how you felt, and you might have felt terrible, conditions might have been terrible, but you relied on that identity, you took action, and man, you start to feel great about yourself. So if you can flip that process, and really define your identity first, that'll compel you to action, then you'll get a tremendous feeling from it.
I think there's two trains of thought that a lot of people come across at this stage. One, I think it's very common that we hear, fake it till you make it. And I think with the word structure, fake it till you make it, a lot of people don't feel comfortable at that because they think fake, they feel fraud.
Right.
But on the other hand, and the other side of the coin is act as if now. act as if you're already that Olympic athlete. And that's the vibe that I'm picking up from here. It's not fake it till you make it. It's choose that identity and act or behave in alignment with that person that you want to be in the future. Is that what I'm hearing?
Absolutely true. And I love how you use language there, Daniel, because our language is so incredibly powerful. And you said fake it till you people feel like frauds when you hear fake it, right? Because it's not true to who you are. Where if you're defining that identity, this is who I am, boy, you're stepping into it. You're being that person before you're actually there. And it compels you to action, and it gets you through those difficult times. And the secret sauce is not when you feel great. When you feel great, everybody can do what they're supposed to do. The key is when you feel crappy, your conditions aren't perfect, being able to move. And if you can do that, and I call it my rainy day mentality. When it's raining out, 99% of people don't want to go for a run. That's where I step out and I say, you know what? This is a chance to get ahead of 99% of people. I'm going for a run. So love the way you use language, and language is so incredibly powerful. Not only our internal dialogue, but how we speak out into the world and into existence.
Mm. When I started my career in real estate, I heard people say, just fake it till you make it. But my response was, oh my gosh, that's terrible. I don't want to come across as a fraud. And what I struggled with was I didn't have a model of excellence. I didn't have somebody to look at and say, well, what does excellence look like in this field? How can I deconstruct what they're doing and replicate that? That was quite hard. But I was very lucky that a mentor came along and he said, Daniel, if you want to succeed in the field of real estate, this is the self-talk that you need. And so I went from that external thinking about you got to have the car and the suit and the watch to succeed to going, oh, wow, there's an inner game that I've got to master here. And, he gave me the old book, I think it was The Richest Man in Babylon. And one of the sayings in there was, this too shall pass. and he said, you're going to go through highs and lows, and you got to say to yourself, this too shall pass. And then he was teaching me how to sell. And he said, Daniel, you've got to win the inner game of selling. And one of the things that he told me, and it was from Brian Tracy, but I'd learned it back in 1999, he said, some will, some won't. So what? So the times that I won, I could say some will, some won't, some, what, who cares? And then the other times it would be when you lose a listing, some will, some won't, so what? And you start to win this inner game. And that really helped me act as if now, because I'd say, well, that person's making $500,000 a year. And if I can talk to myself like that, then I would change my feelings. But, that self-doubt, and I know you talk a lot about self-doubt, a lot of people who are starting on this journey with us at the moment, they're waking up. And they wake up in the morning and they're problem aware. But it's very hard to compare my inner dialogue to somebody else's inner dialogue. And you're the expert in this field. What's some of these self-doubts? What is it that people say to themselves? Or what are the words they use that could cause them to second-guess themselves? What would that be?
So, Daniel, I love bringing that up because we all face self-doubt in some capacity. You do, I do, every single person does. So we always think we're unique in that inner battle that we face, right? The negative thoughts that just play from our childhood. Maybe we took it from a coach, a teacher, something of that nature. It could be I'm not good enough. It could be I'll never be successful. It could be any of those things. We all face them. So that's number one, is don't think you're unique in the fact that you have negative thoughts. We all have them. One of the ways I love to help my clients move past them is control the bookends of your days. You can't, very many times it's difficult to control the middle of the days. But if you control how you shut down at night, how you prepare for a great night's sleep, sleep is so powerful to have, to re-energize, recharge our minds, our bodies, our souls. And then if you control that first 30 minutes when you wake up and you stack these small micro wins, like I did this morning, glass of water, workout, meditation, notes to my sons, all of a sudden that self-doubt, those negative thoughts aren't playing right when you wake up. And when you do that, I like to relate it to a train track, a train going down the train track. It creates so much energy. But once it's rolling, it's difficult to stop. And if you stack those small micro wins in the morning, know exactly what you're going to do, avoid negativity, no social media, no news, no text messages, no emails. That's your time and your time alone. If you control those bookends, it's very difficult to have bad days over and over again, because you're preparing for success at night and then you're stacking small micro wins in the morning. And those are powerful ways to intervene into those negative thoughts that might play out. Stacking those small micro wins, you feel that progress, you feel that momentum, you feel that energy. It's incredibly powerful.
One thing I say to my clients, I'll say, inch by inch, it's a cinch, but by the yard, it's hard. And now that you frame it out the way that you do, I'm kind of stuck on this thing. Having a glass of water is a win. Now, that's only in my model of the world. I might not say a glass of water is a win for the morning, but I'd love to explore that, because it does align with what I say to my students. Inch by inch, it's a cinch. So the glass of water, how do you put that in the category of that's a win? How do you define that? Because I find that's fascinating. Because, and I got to say, I tell myself, Daniel, have a glass of water, but I go straight for the coffee.
So I love you brought that up. Number one is we're made so much of water, right? Our bodies, our internal organs. I mean, our lungs are like 85% made up of water. So the longest stretch of the day we go, and this is again kind of preparing for success the night before, longest stretch we go without water is when we sleep. So we're dehydrated. So you want to wake up properly. You want to start to energize your soul, your body, your mind. Drink a glass of water. And I tell people, you've got to have it prepared the night before. And they say, that's the most ridiculous thing. You want me to have a glass of water out? And I say, yes. Because what happens if you come downstairs, you go to get that glass of water, all of a sudden all the cups are dirty. They're not in the cabinets. They're in the dishwasher, and somebody didn't push the dishwasher in completely. If you don't prepare the night before, that's your mind's first opportunity to say, you know what, Daniel, this is too difficult. Go back to bed. This stuff that Jeff was talking about is ridiculous. And the mind will take that easy way out. So you prepare for success. You stack those small wins. You celebrate what you're doing. You track it. And that's incredibly powerful as far as starting and ending your day.
I love it. I'd never considered that the time that we sleep is that longest period where we're not hydrating. Fascinating. I'd never looked at it that way. I think that's so powerful, and it makes a lot of sense. And in terms of tracking, why is tracking so important? Why is that important to somebody starting their journey? And you talk about this. You say that with the latest brain science research, we used to believe that it took 21 days to change a habit. But then you said it's more like 21 to 60. But even science today with maybe MRI scans, I believe you've talked about before, they say it takes up to 67 days to make a change in your behaviours. So why is the tracking part a prerequisite to be able to actualize these new behaviors?
One is when you track it, all of a sudden you start to gamify the process. I remember when I first started meditation with this new app, and every time I would meditate, it would say you've done it consecutive days. So it starts to become this game internally that you go through, and that is very important to see it, and how many that then you start to enjoy the process. How far can I take this, right? And today was 1,613 straight days of meditation. I would have never got there if I hadn't tracked it, right? Cold shower, ice bath, cold walk. I'm at 1,254 straight days. Tracking it, you get these numbers and you start to get this progress, and then it becomes automatic. And I love that you touched on 21 days to create a habit. I mean, what a huge lie that we've been fed through media, news, just general understanding. And no wonder why people are so depressed the third week of January, because they think they've made it. It might be the hardest time. You got to bear down. You might still have triple what you think as far as installing that habit, using your willpower to install that habit, that algorithm behind the scenes. And unless you know the science of it, you're not setting yourself up for success. So yes, it can take up to 67 days. So just be aware of that and start small when trying to create any habit.
I think it's so true. And one of my clients, he says, Daniel, we get fed information, disinformation, and misinformation. And there is so much misinformation out there about changing a habit. And where the 21 days actually comes from, that's the amount of time it takes for a chicken to sit on an egg and hatch it. So the chicken with the brain the size of a pea can actually have the discipline to sit down on the egg for 21 days and hatch it. That's where it actually originated from. So we're comparing ourselves to chickens. Now, I like KFC, but I hopefully one day I'll be much smarter than a chicken. But it does take discipline. Now, these people who they buy into the self-doubts, they, for a better word, the metaphorical devil on the shoulder, they start to take the advice from that devil and they second guess themselves. They start to run these bullshit stories. Mm-hmm. What's the greatest impact on them personally and professionally if they fail to overcome those self-doubts?
They most likely will always stay stuck. They'll always stay in that rut, that common path that society steers us in. And 1 week will become 1 month, 1 year, and 10, 15, 20 years down the road, they'll be in the same spot and wondering, why the heck am I still here? Or how am I still here? I wanted something, but I wasn't able to get past it. And it's a very, very scary thought to think about, that you're going to be in the same spot you were 20 years ago because you haven't been able to get past some of those negative thoughts. And I always say we're driving a car of our life, right? And we want to slam down that gas pedal. Those negative thoughts is you're hitting that gas pedal, but that other foot is on the brake pedal and it is stopping you from truly where you want to go.
Anthony Hopkins was interviewed recently and they asked him, is there anything that you regret in your life? And he looked at the camera and he said, no, there's nothing. Now, when I hear that, I don't necessarily agree with it. I can't disagree with it, but I don't necessarily agree with it because I think throughout our lives, we do second guess ourselves. We say things to ourselves that we would never say to anybody else. And I think we play small because of fears. So in terms of regret, I believe that all of us are going to regret something throughout our life. And it will either be big or small, but it's still regret. So people getting to the end of their life, and you're much younger than me by the looks of it. You're much younger. You must still be in your 20s or early 30s.
I'm 40. I'm 47. I'm 47 years young. So there you go.
All of us are going to get to that stage where we're going to regret something. Do you see that with these people who failed to address this inner dialogue, this negative self-talk? Do they end up living life with regrets?
So we are our worst enemy, right? And we are hardest on ourselves. One of the things I love to coach clients on, and I do myself, is give myself grace, right? And we are the only species that continues to beat ourselves up for what we didn't do yesterday, what we didn't do a week or a month ago. And we use that hammer to beat ourselves up. And what I love to do is get curious, use a flashlight and shine a flashlight on it and say, why did that happen? And dive into it, not in a negative manner, but curiosity. And how can I change that approach moving forward? How can I tweak things? How can I get better? Maybe it's mindset. Maybe it's overcoming those negative thoughts, putting some practices into place to be able to remove those and snap back so much quicker, right? I think the myth is that we're going to all of a sudden not have negative thoughts. You're always going to have them, but how quick can you snap your state, change your physiology, and get back to that path that you want to attack on? And that's so vitally important. So rather than using that hammer, give yourself some grace, use a flashlight, figure out what might be able to be tweaked to be different, and then move forward.
I'm of the opinion that even the world's greatest brain surgeon can't perform surgery on themselves. And I think what that means is in our life, we can't be our own psychotherapist. It's incredibly hard to coach yourself at the beginning. So for people who are starting to wake up and they're starting to realize that maybe their life didn't turn out the way they wanted it, or maybe they haven't created that security for themselves and for their family that they always promised themselves, where can they start their journey with you and learn about accountability, learn about improved confidence, and really to create that unstoppable mindset? Where can they start their journey with you?
So go out to www.thethemorningfire.com. I've got a lot of content out there that you can check out, listen to, YouTube channel, podcast, as well as if they wanted to speak to me for 20 minutes, I would love to talk to them. I'd for your audience, complimentary 20-minute consultation, and we'll see where it goes. I love just providing the energy, the zest that I have in life and giving that to somebody else. That's a gift I love giving. And you do have the hero inside of you. Many times it has been layered upon layer, society, beliefs. Once you crack just a little piece off, you'll never go back. And then it's a journey that will be absolutely amazing.
Do it. Ladies and gentlemen, themorningfire.com. Head over there now. Check out Jeff's work, and there's a button there. And I encourage you to click the button and schedule in your own 20-minute coaching conversation, because that's where I started in 2009. I met a life coach, and he said, come and talk to me for 20 minutes. And then I ended up working with him. And then months after that, I realized that there was that hero inside of me, and I started to play a bigger game. Instead of playing small, I started to play big. And it really changed the direction of my life. So jump on the website now, themorningfire.com. Schedule in your one-to-one and learn more about Jeff and the good work that he's doing. Jeff, it's been a pleasure to have you here today. Ladies and gentlemen, jump on the website right now, themorningfire.com. Have a wonderful day.